Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Michael looks really different today. Good morning to my wonderful Shine On universe. My name is Tammy, and you might recognize me from some of the challenges. If you have taken the Shine On challenge, I am one of your instructors. Also used to run the 100 challenge, amongst others. I am so happy to be here. Good morning. Can I get some hearts in the chat for anybody who's excited for today, for our amazing guest today? Oh my gosh. Let's see what we got. Good morning, Mark. Hi, Robin. Deborah, hey. Remember, if you're showing up as Facebook user, be sure to grant StreamYard permission to see your name. You just go to streamyard.com/Facebook. Hey, Sandra, nice to see you. Hello. Oh my gosh, all the way from Kenya. Hi, Sylvia. You guys, I am so excited for today. Just to let you know, so Michael woke up not feeling so hot today, so he asked me to fill in, and I hope I can do even remotely as good a job as he does. But I am really excited to see you all today. It has been a long time since I've done a live stream, and I am so pumped. Girl, love you right back. Oh, you guys, it's so great to see you. So let's talk about what we are doing today. So I'm sure everyone knows Luna Vega, and if you don't, you should, especially if you are on Etsy. Obviously, we are huge fans of Etsy here. I was actually just thinking this morning of the very first thing that I ever purchased on Etsy. And I mean, gosh, it has to have been I can't say how old I am, but it was a long time ago. And I bought a necklace for my sister, which it was, Etsy just really provided such an amazing opportunity for sellers in general. So I am incredibly excited about our guest today. So I guess, first of all, I should probably do a "what's up" like Michael does, so that we at least get that going for us. But anyway, like this post, drop some hearts in the comment if you are excited about today. I am so pumped. What's up? Yes, hello. Go, Luna, go. Yes, Luna, everyone loves you. I'm so excited to have you on today. She's waiting in the wings right now, just watching all of this. So we'll get her on in just a minute. So first, let's talk about some swag winners this week. Okay, this one is, I'm going to be a little biased here just because this one is probably my favorite of the swag winners that we have today. So this is from Ty. He says, I just started the Shine On Challenge last week and already have my first sale. I'm stoked. This is real, and I am so excited to learn more and scale and become a pro at e-com. Thank you, Shine On. Seriously, this is so wild. Congrats, Ty. That's the thing about the Shine On Challenge. So we specifically designed it so that it could get you set up from the very basics all the way to more complicated stuff like scaling and increasing your ad spend and things like that. So the challenge is awesome, and I am so happy to see this because this is exactly why we are doing this, and it's on Etsy. How incredibly appropriate for today. So congrats, Ty. Someone from Shine On, I believe it'll be Brooke Shine On, will reach out to you. Be sure to check your Facebook messages for your swag code. Next up, we have Tiasa. Okay, so we made many smart and not so smart choices when it comes to investing in our knowledge. However, Luna's bits of advice were the first ones that showed results on our Etsy store. After listening to her content multiple times, we did the research as she said, did the SEO as she said, did the killer listing like she said, and example 1, uploaded favorite item favorited the next day, first sale in 4 days, 3 weeks later, 17 people have this in their cart. Sales are still coming in. Example 2, uploaded at noon this Monday, first sale 6 hours later. 6 hours! All that, and we haven't even invested in Luna's coaching formula yet. Soon, without a doubt. Thank you, Luna. Now, I gotta say, that so appropriate. Again, another Etsy comment today. Tiasa is awesome. So she actually has a really incredible story where she and her neighbor met in the Shine On Profits on Demand Facebook group and discovered that they were both selling Shine On. And so now they work together to sell Shine On Etsy. How crazy is that? Like, such an amazing, amazing community that we have here. And Tias is like a great example of that. So just shout out to you. You should have Brooke reaching out to you soon with those with that swag code. All right. Now, last we have Max. So I recently had my first 10K month with Shine On. Not a Mother's Day product, by the way. Thank you for the great product line and constantly improving the POD space. Also, I want to thank you to Scup for teaching me how to do it. Scup is a program that works with us. You can find out more if you search in the Facebook group about it. Let's do the same amount in just one day this Q4. Agreed. Ask me stuff in the comments if you want to know more. Thank you, Max. I mean, what an amazing set of these testimonials this week. We've got shout outs to Luna. We've got amazing, amazing numbers coming in on evergreen products. And we have, of course, excellent sales on Etsy. So just really excited. You guys are killing it. It's that weird time of year where we're like in that sort of like, we're really close to the Father's Day cutoffs. We'll show those in a little bit. But we're also in that situation where like there's almost this dead zone in the middle between holidays. But that's why we added things like acrylic. And acrylic sells year round. It sells amazing. We'll talk more about that later. But congratulations, Max. Congrats to all of the swag winners. You should see Brooke's message to you coming in soon. All right, so if you want free swag from our Shine On merch store, each week we randomly draw 2 to 5 posts from the group, gift some swag. So if you want a chance to do yours, simply post one of the following, either a testimonial post with a screenshot of your sales, a value post of what's working for you, any tips, tricks, or hacks to help other people succeed. If you put those in there, we will throw it up on here, and then you actually will get a swag code. And yeah, exactly. I love Shine On swag too. That's it. So if you want to get some of the coolest swag out there, be sure to post your testimonial in the Facebook group. Let's get into some latest news, shall we? First of all, let's talk about our cutoff dates. So these are the cutoff dates for U.S. fulfillment. Father's Day this year is June 18th. That's Sunday. So we have our standard shipping for our graphic products happening June 11th. If you have priority shipping turned on, you actually have an extra couple days there. So the cutoff is June 13th. For acrylic products, again, June 11th. Same with the cutoff there for priority. Engraved products, June 11th. Priority, a little bit more. And then standard shipping for June 12th. So right there, what you're seeing, just make sure that when you hit those dates, be sure to turn off any ad campaigns that you have for that. Also, as we are nearing closer and closer to the cutoff date, I highly recommend that you start to add things on there that say things like only 2 more days to, get this, or get it in time for Father's Day, or even as we near that, if not after the date, you can write things in like, it may not get there in time for Father's Day, but we'll try. And that can actually help you slip in a few last minute sales there, which is really nice. So just a hot tip for you. All right, so then in the EU, we have our fulfillment cutoff date is the day before, actually. So we've got June 10th for graphic, acrylic, and engraved. For message card products, we have one more day on that. That is 11th of June. Obviously, this is narrowed down to, because they're coming from the Netherlands, we have France, Denmark, Luxembourg, Amsterdam, or the Netherlands, and the UK. You have a little bit of extra time to sell to those places, whereas the rest of the countries usually cutoff is the 8th or 9th of June. So unlike the US, where you can offer priority shipping, in the EU, we do not have priority shipping there. So highly recommend, if you do not have priority shipping turned on, please go to help.shineon.com, look up priority shipping so that you have the exact information and instructions on how to turn that on for yourself if you sell in the US. So just a tip there too. Okay, next slide. Woo! Okay, so we had a competition in the graphic design group for the best Father's Day acrylic design. This is the design. Congrats to Faisal. I hope I pronounced that correctly. For the winning design, he did an excellent job here. What we really liked about this design, and I should let you know that the Shine On team actually voted on these designs and chose this one specifically. We chose this because it was an evergreen design, meaning in the sense where a lot of other designs had sort of had people on them. And if you're going to sell to a lot of customers, by having a certain type of person on those images, it can they feel maybe left out if they don't see themselves on it, right? Whereas like this design is something, this could go to any dad in anywhere of any type of dad. So that's why we really liked this design. I have to tell you too, we gave a shout out to Faisal. We posted this in the group, and less than 24 hours later, folks had sales on this. Like, I promise you, like we kind of know what we're talking about here. So Robin has posted the link to the winning Father's Day design in the post or in the comments. So feel free to go grab that, especially if you grab the PSD. What's nice is that you can just change a few things and now you have a design for life. So it doesn't have to just be for dads. You can, shift and adjust this design for other things. So shout out, congrats. Be sure to grab that if you haven't, and you can use it for other stuff in the future. Y'all, our acrylic plaques are amazing. Amazing. So here's the craziest thing. And I feel like I have to tell you this because we have been watching it from our side and we have never seen anything like this. So we were on the hunt for our next golden goose product, right? The thing that was going to help everybody and really stretch the boundaries of what print on demand could do. And I got to tell you, so our acrylic plaques have outsold our top selling product for like 4 days in a row. They are so hot. And I have to tell you, the people who are selling the most of these currently are selling evergreen designs. So they are not all selling for graduation. They are not all selling for Father's Day. One of our top folks is selling in the romance niche for this. I've seen people set up like calendars on this, things for like, bride and groom, the drinks that they have at their wedding. I've seen this do like, cute summer designs, like it's wine o'clock when the light is turned on. I mean, honestly, it is wild the amount of freedom that you have with this design and, with our new product. And like, if you aren't doing this, you should. These are growing so quickly. I mean, I think we're probably going up by like almost 80% every week. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. Like, actually, I don't wish I was kidding. I am very pleased about this. This is pretty amazing. We worked really hard on getting this done, and we have some new variations that are on the way that y'all are going to freak out about. So, in the meantime, get these in your store, get some cool designs. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. All right, what do we have next? The Shine On Challenge. All right, so this one I'm like very biased about because I am an instructor on this. So if you have taken the challenge, you've probably seen this mug on your screen for a little bit. So the Shine On Challenge is something that we created specifically to help you go from the very base, like I've never done e-com before, I don't know what it is, how do I build a store, all the way to your first sale. And we called it the 2-week sort of challenge because we broke it down into 14 lessons. But I gotta tell you, like Ty earlier, Ty just started, but he found things in there that were really valuable and changed things for his store that ultimately brought him sales. So even if you are seasoned in the space, there could be a lot of things that you could learn from this challenge that could change everything for you and really help you expand and grow. The other thing that I thought was really amazing is that we have a ton of people who sign up, but there's not as many people that finish. The thing is that our data actually shows if you complete the challenge, if you complete all of the lessons, 90% of the people who complete all of those lessons make sales. 90%. That's what? Like that is insane. That's why we made it free for now. And I say that for now because the plan is to probably change that in Q3. So if you are not part of the challenge, please go to shineonchallenge.com. You'll also see it in your dashboard, in your Shine On dashboard. So please go sign up for it. If you have signed up for it, go finish it. Like what's stopping you? Go finish that. Get that over with so that you can be the next person that we give free swag to. All right. Best way to stay caught up, please check Featured. That's where we highlight all of our best posts, specifically from the team here at Shine On to help you. So if you ever want to find out what the latest and greatest stuff is that we're posting, please check out Featured on the group. All right, so I know it's not Michael's, it's not Michael here, but we'll just skip this one. He'll appreciate that we at least showed it, This is the best part. I'm pretty sure this is why everybody is here today, specifically to hear the digital marketer's toast. You're starting to get that kumbaya feeling. You know that everyone around the world who is watching this right now is grabbing their whatever drink of choice, and they are about to see the world change forever because of this toast. So we're all going to work together to have the best sales ever for 2023, and it's going to start right now with the digital marketer's toast. I have a special cup that we're working with today, and I am going to bring Luna in as well. This is actually, so everyone knows Jim Cremella. He is, his wife is actually the one who made me this cup. So shout out to Mrs. Cremella. You've probably seen, Jim in the challenge and on here as well. All right. Hey, Luna.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome.
Here's
I
my
couldn't
cup.
have you come without your joining us for the Digital Marketers Toast.
Yep.
What are you drinking? Coffee today?
Yes. Much needed.
Yes, agreed. All right. Y'all ready for this? Raise up your glasses, mugs, bottles, or flasks and join me now for the Digital Marketers Toast. Here's to more conversions, more cash, cheap CPMs, and lower CACs, to higher CTRs and much higher CVRs, to enabled ad accounts and big bank accounts, to upsells, downsells, and cross sells, to winning products and repeat sells, to the thing that everybody knows, the riches are in the niches, but also your email flows. You ready? Drink. Oh, I felt it.
Love
I
it.
felt it.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. We've got all sorts of folks in here. Where are you cheersing from? Let us know in the chat right now. Ooh. Cheers from LA. Is that Los Angeles or Louisiana? New York. Orlando. We are neighbors. I'm in St. Pete. Boise, Cleveland, Florida, LA, New York, Pennsylvania, Los Angeles, and Louisiana. We've got both. We've got Egypt, Southern California. Nice. New Zealand, London. Wow, this is awesome. You know, it really does feel so great to know how large our community is and how diverse everyone is here and how much they care about growing together. Y'all make my little heart swell so much. It's just amazing. It's Jakarta, Vancouver. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. We're so excited to have you. All right. Well, should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Okay, so today we are talking to the amazing and incredible and vivacious Luna Vega. So, Luna, how about you tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're calling from, and a little bit about your experience with Shine On?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year, I decided to be a digital nomad again. I tried to stay put during the pandemic, but I was bored. So I'm currently in Miami, and then in a couple weeks, I'll be in Europe. And actually, I have a really funny story when it comes to Shine On. So actually, I met Eric at the Affiliate World Conference in Barcelona. I mean, a few years back. And at the time, I was selling print-on-demand T-shirts, like crypto print-on-demand T-shirts. And I was a little frustrated because I had not a lot of profit margins, even though I was getting sales because I went after a product that was trending, and this was like when everybody was really into crypto. But in any case, so I did not start my Shine On journey right away, unfortunately, just because I had to kind of tie up a few loose ends. And once I did, I had so Mother's Day, I did a horrible job. I couldn't crack. But then Father's Day, I with Facebook ads actually is how I started. I was able to have a winner. But then I was not able to replicate a second winner through Facebook ads. So out of frustration, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try Etsy. And within 30 days, I went from 0 to 10K months with Shine On products on Etsy. And I decided to just fully focus my efforts on Etsy from that point on. And the rest is history.
The rest is epic, epic history.
Yep.
That is amazing. 10K months. So you were
Yeah,
using the knowledge that you'd used from selling the t-shirts and made it sort of shifted and adjusted to make it work for Etsy.
exactly. Yep. And also, I mean, because I had aggressively tested with Facebook ads, I also had a lot of listings, and I was able to understand pretty quickly like the difference between selling on Facebook and Etsy, and just made the changes accordingly. And so I came in, I had a decent amount of listings already. And so I was able to gather data faster. I must have had like 300 listings.
Wow.
And
So you
but
you
then yeah,
started
but then
off with
realized that
300.
like Facebook and Etsy were completely different beasts. So I kind of had to relearn a few things, if you will.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And I mean, that makes so much sense. Having that many listings right off the bat, that's very helpful for sure. I'm sure,
Yeah.
new folks wouldn't necessarily have 300
No.
plus listings ready to go, but
I
at the
mean, I
same
went
time,
heavy with Facebook. and
yeah.
then, and then I was like,
Exactly.
yeah, no. I mean, but looking back, I mean, that's the thing. When you look back, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, it's so funny because it's such a generic thing to say, but I realize that I came in perhaps with a really big ego because I was like, well, I know how this works. Like, why is this not working out for me? And turns out that I had no clue. I mean, even though I had some knowledge because I had sold t-shirts in the past, when you are dealing with a different product, and like there's always new things that you have to learn. There's always new elements that you have to figure out along the way. So I really have an approach of like I don't know anything, and I'm always open to listening what others have to say, and that's made such a huge difference.
I love that. I love that. And it's so true too, right? I mean, especially when you're first getting started with designs and you start to make some designs that are really, really meaningful for you. And then you just aren't seeing the sales on them. And it like is that initial heartbreak of like, why isn't my design working? But then you realize too, you have to separate yourself from that in
Yeah.
order to really get down to the nitty gritty and get those sales because you're not selling to yourself, you're selling to others.
Yeah.
So paying attention to what other people are doing in order to get those sales and sort of managing your emotional connections to your listings and your designs can really change everything.
I would
So,
say managing your emotion towards the business, because it's
yeah.
really easy to feel frustrated. And I kind of I'm hot tempered. I mean, I'm better now, but I'm kind of the hot tempered chick, maybe because I lived in New York for so many years and I'm French, so forget it's like a horrible combo. But yeah, I remember getting really frustrated, and I realized that actually that's not the way. Like you have to go in with a more playful mindset, and when you do that, for whatever reason, it really unlocks possibilities with your brain. Because when you feel frustrated, it's almost like your frustration is just not enabling you to just think of things differently, to like think outside the box. Versus when you go in with an experimental and playful mindset, it really does make a huge difference. So
Yeah.
I know it sounds so woo-woo, but like mindset stuff, half of the time, I would say is a good foundation to understand that it is going to impact your success.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're right. It does sound a little like woo woo, but it really, that's kind of it. You have to reach into that part of yourself and actually
Yeah.
give yourself the freedom to be that playful and that open to change, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a really hard thing for people to do in general is to shift and adjust. So just being open to that can change everything for you, for
Yeah.
sure. What would you say has changed the most on Etsy from when you first started to today?
I mean, it's definitely more competitive. Therefore, what used to work 3 years ago no longer works. Like you have to come at it with a different angle. You really, I mean, I'm making it sound more complicated than what it is, but you have to understand, first of all, how Etsy works and who is Etsy's avatar. because Facebook customers are very different than Etsy customers, just like they're very different from Amazon customers. So understanding at the core who the Etsy customer is and what kind of people shop on Etsy is actually going to be your first step to unlocking its potential. And a lot of people go and look at data from other places, which is great. Obviously, like you want to know what sellers on Facebook and other places are selling. However, when you don't apply that lens of like, who is my customer on Etsy, then you might find yourself running into trouble, especially now. Like later you could get away with it, like earlier you could get away with it, but not anymore.
Yeah. Do you feel like during the pandemic, the amount of sellers that are on Etsy increased a lot in comparison, or?
I might have had something to do with it. Because my TikTok video, I don't know what year, like I think it was like a year and a half, like went viral. And so I did bring in like a lot of sellers on Etsy who sell Shine On, because like actually a lot of people did not know about Shine On, to be honest. You know, like I think within the Facebook community, a lot of people did, but not within Etsy. Because people go to like the usual suspects when it comes to print on demand, which is selling t-shirts or stuff like that. But yeah, so I think that, and also I don't know. I mean, you know, at some point the word gets out.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, you guys are located in Florida, and now you have like a factory in Europe. You guys are super reliable, and that's the thing when you're doing print on demand. It's really hard to find reliable print on demand suppliers that are going to help you, especially when you're doing platforms. Because when you're doing platforms like Etsy or Amazon, you need to ship things on time or you get flagged. Amazon is more strict than Etsy. With Shopify, you have more leeway because you can like email your customers and whatnot. So it's happened to me to have issues in the past, and you guys are like on top of it. I love that.
Making me blush first thing on Friday. That's a way to start a weekend, I tell you what.
No, it does make a huge difference, because then it helps you focus on, you know, actually like your listing, and you don't have to worry so much about, is this going to ship in time?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think too, especially this year, our biggest focus was trying to get as many hyper personalized products as we could out in 2023, to not just be the jewelry company, but also not just be the love knot company, right? Like the name necklaces, getting that kind of personalization. You know, there's certain ways too that you're able to actually sell like a set name on there or a set word, which is really great. We've got the acrylic now, which is just cranking. You know, the leather bracelet is a killer upsell. You know, just adding that as a post-purchase product has just done you're increasing your AOV so much. So I really appreciate that, because we do try our darndest to be as reliable as possible. So it's amazing hearing it from you, the queen, the absolute master. So I really appreciate that. And I'll let everyone know how great we are.
Love it.
So we will have a Q&A session for Luna after presentation today. So start thinking up some questions for her that you can ask a little bit later on. But for right now, let's get into it. Into it. So Luna is sharing with us today the best keyword tools for print-on-demand sellers, and this is your toolkit to more sales. So,
all right. So yeah, I guess like first and foremost, I wanted to make this presentation not just relevant for Etsy sellers, but for everyone, because a lot of times we get caught up in doing our research in just Amazon, Etsy, or Facebook ads, or even TikTok ads. And we kind of forget that SEO tells a story. So keyword research is important for two reasons, actually. First, because obviously for research purposes, and I think we can go to the next slide.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so it's like to find like opportunities in print on demand that have like high search intent. And there's an amazing tool that I can't wait for you guys to check out, which just released, and it's an SEO tool specifically for print on demand sellers. But essentially, like understanding where there are opportunities, and a lot of times we think too broad, and just by kind of like niching down, we can find opportunities, or we can just get a sense of like what are people actively searching for and what is the overall trend of that keyword. So that's the first reason. The second reason, if we go to the next slide, is it can also bring us organic traffic to your store. And that's something that happened to me a few times where I was like, wait a minute, where did this sale come from? Because I mean, at some point I just went all in with focusing on Etsy. And so sometimes I would get like a few sales without running ads directly from my store. And I'm like, oh my God, this came from Google. So I think a lot of time we kind of tend to forget the potential of Google. And I know there's people in the groups who kind of do that full time, but also having that insight of like, oh, it could actually bring me more sales on my website as well. And it's like a great way to bring evergreen sales to your Shopify store.
That's amazing. Good call.
Okay, let's start with reason number one: find opportunities, search volume, competition. So there's a couple things, right? When we're looking at keywords, we need to obviously make sure that we go after a keyword that has a really high search volume. A lot of time, one mistake that I see a lot of people go after is they go after things that are so niched that there's not enough traffic to support that idea. So let's say you go after like, I don't know, like aunt, I don't I have to like come up with something, but something that is like so niched, you only have like 1% of the population who'd be into this, right? And you have probably, if you look at any keyword tools, it'll tell you that the traffic is less than 100 or 50 per month. Like that's just too low in order for you to get these constant amount of sales. So obviously when something has a bigger search volume, you're going to have more competition, like gift for dad. Obviously everybody's going after that keyword. And I'm not opposed to going after those bigger keywords. You just have to be, I'd say, more advanced when you do that, and also find ways to bringing other source of traffic to be able to leverage the traffic, if you will. So if we go to the other slide. So this is the tool that I'm so excited to share with you guys. And I shared my affiliate link so you guys can get a few days for free. But essentially, this tool is amazing. Unfortunately, I can't really play around with it. Like I wish I could like share my screen. But in hindsight, what it does is that not only are you able, if you go on like keyword research, or what is it, keyword search, which is all the way under keywords, you will be able to include an item that you're interested in. First and foremost, it enables you to kind of search by marketplace. So whether it's United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, whatever, and that's just an amazing way to be able to search different marketplace, like based on where you are located. So let's say we do United States, right? Overall, we see that obviously there's a spike during June, July. Then as far as like the traffic for gift for dad kind of goes down, and then it goes back up in December. But it's pretty much evergreen, right? And the thing is with this specific tool is that it also tells you the competition, how many people are purchasing this item. It tells you the revenue for specific keywords, so expected sales. And then if you actually click on the Google suggestions, so it also shows you data from Google Shopping. And so what I love about that is that if you double click on Google Shopping, you'll see a lot of like different print on demand products. And so this can give you some insights about, okay, products that are perhaps trending and whatnot, and giving you data that you might have not found on Amazon or on Etsy. Because at the end of the day, like, you always want to have that edge. And I would say for me specifically, like being really curious and going down the rabbit hole is what has made all the difference. And a tool like that can really help you with that, right? So if we go to the next slide, there's another tool.
Sure. So just in
Yeah.
case you are looking for Luna's link, Robin has shared it in the
Oh, thank
comments.
you, Robin.
We love Robin. Love Robin here. So check that out. That is very cool. And I'm with you. I'm total rabbit hole person too. I'm like, I want to know everything. I want to know all the data. And I love just sort of, it's almost like you're peering over people's shoulders. With stuff like
Yes.
this, it's awesome.
Yeah. So there's another tool that is a little easier to use. And so this one is called SEO.ai. And the information you have is a little bit more generic. However, you'll see when we go over like the second reason, it's a great tool to create blog posts and also help you with perhaps like product descriptions. However, what I like about this tool, especially if with flying research, you feel a little overwhelmed because it can be very overwhelming. Like the thing about flying research, which is the last tool I shared earlier, is that it's kind of overwhelming and there's a lot of information, which can be good, but can be overwhelming for some. So this is really like straight to the point. You essentially go to your keyword explorer, and then I'll provide you essentially the search volume and then the difficulty of ranking that specific keyword. And the difficulty, so if it's 44 or 24, that it's less difficult than like a 65, right? So if you're at 100, it's way more difficult than if it's closer to 0. However, the ranking that it's looking at is Google, right? So essentially this tool is more a blog posting tool really than it is like a proper e-commerce tool. However, the reason I like it is because it enables you to kind of like build articles using their AI intelligence. But I'll share that with you guys earlier. So this is another tool that's just like, worth playing with. And I'm pretty sure they have like a free version available.
That's pretty awesome. So by difficulty, you mean like competition wise?
Yeah, competition wise. So essentially it's looking at all the competitors within the Google space, and it's determining like how difficult it would be for you to rank that specific keyword and get your blog post, in this case, in the first page.
Yeah, for sure. And you were saying sort of 44 and below, you're looking good. You'd go after those guys for the blog post.
Or I would just do further research to kind of see like, okay, like, so Gift for Stepdad, like usually that's one that I really recommend people going after, especially when there are more noobs, because obviously everybody's going after Gift for Dad, right? And so Gift for Dad can be very overwhelming if you're just starting out. And a lot of times people don't necessarily think about opportunities for like bonus dad or stepdads or whatnot. And so because there's a little less competition, it's easier as a beginner to go after a specific keyword like that, for instance.
That is a hot tip. Tip, Luna. Dropping knowledge bombs here. You love to see it.
All right. What else we go to the next slide. So there's another. Go ahead. Sorry, Tammy.
No, go for it.
Oh, yeah, there's another tool that I love to use. It's called Keywords Everywhere. And essentially what you do is like you buy credits and you have X amount of credits. And the reason I love it, it's actually a Chrome extension. So I use it a lot. I use it because every time I'm on Etsy, I will know it will give me like the volume and then the CPC. So CPC is actually also competition, because essentially that's the cost that it would that's the cost of taking that keyword and running an ad on Google. And so if your CPC is higher, like it's $1 or $3, I've even seen $3, then you know that it's more competitive and more people are trying to go after that keyword. So in this case, weirdly enough, Gift for Dad, probably because it's too generic of a keyword. So Gift for Dad has a really high search volume, but the Google rate is 23 cents. And partially it's because it's too niche for brands to probably go after that, right? But then what I love about it too is it gives you, first of all, the trend data, and all this shows up directly on your Google feed as you're doing the search. And then it gives you like related keyword along with long tail keywords. So I don't know if you guys like what your knowledge is about SEO, but in my earlier days, like when I started my digital marketing I don't know, like I was blogging like back in the day. So long tail keywords, usually like retirement gift for dad, is when you just have more to the keyword. And usually those are easier to rank in the blog world, like, or Google SEO world, because you have more specification, right? So look at it as if like you're going for a niche. And so right here, retirement gift for dad, like caught my attention without even having like a lot of metrics. So if we go to the second slide, to the other slide, I kind of did a quick research, right? And the first thing I did is like, I inputted this on Amazon and like, ta-da, retirement gift for women or men. And this could easily be a plaque, right? So it's something that, again, like we go after the usual suspects, but by simply doing a little research, you can come up with like this is a great evergreen niche that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. So then let's go to the other slide. And I found the exact same idea on Etsy. And so I'm able to justify that there's demand because it's in 20 people's cart. And obviously, like this is a little busy for a plaque, but this is a great idea where essentially like you're creating kind of like a newspaper article, and it could be a gift for a dad who's retired, or it could be a gift for an employee who's worked at the company for a while. So lots of opportunities. So that's why SEO can be so powerful, because you might have not necessarily stumbled upon this by going on doing your research like on Amazon or Facebook for that matter. But by kind of like diving into SEO and looking at these tools and finding and looking at the data, you're really able to find these gems. And then obviously once you find the keyword, you kind of have to go back and make sure that you justify whether or not there's demand, right? Because there's really two different things. One is the keyword itself, which is the search, but then there's search intent. So if like people can be searching something, but not necessarily buying it. So you always have to make sure that there's also like a search intent, and then there's demand. So those are like the key things.
Which makes so much sense, especially because, like, again, it's that sort of separation, right, between your emotional self and your like business self. And I mean, something like this too, finding the inspiration for new designs, not copying, is your best bet, especially on Etsy, where it really pays to be unique, to have your creative stand out from everyone else. And like this too, I mean, man, it's actually, this is kind of mortifying, but my parents still have up at their house. When I was in middle school, I was on a basketball team called the Hingham Gals, and we were terrible. I'm terrible at basketball. I'm the worst at sports just anyway. And it is the most mortifying picture ever of me in my uniform with the basketball and like broken braces and like a puka shell necklace, if it gives any idea of the time period. And it's supposed to look like I'm on a sports magazine, right?
Oh,
and it's this like image that's like, you know, best hoop shot ever of the year or whatever. And it is so goofy. I am not in middle school anymore. I haven't been in a very long time. And yet my parents still have that up at their house.
Well, and see, so I would take that idea and I would first go on Google to make sure, or the tools that I mentioned, you know, like either Google with keywords everywhere or flying research. And I would just essentially like look at the keywords for like sports team or soccer, volleyball, whatever it is, and see what I find. And then based on that, then I would go and make sure that people are selling this, whether it's on Amazon or Etsy. Because that's the other thing as well. Like, there's two things. Like, a lot of time people get stuck and only doing their research on Etsy. And so you kind of have to look outside the box. You have to like look at other venues to find your inspiration as well. And the other thing is too, and actually like Etsy sellers, like a lot of like Facebook ads folks like go on Etsy to find inspiration. I would almost say like Etsy, we have to be extra creative. And a lot of time, like people, I mean, it's happened to me a few times where some of my designs, like next thing I know, it's like on Facebook and I'm like, damn it. So yeah, but in any case, like just being able to kind of like look at everything and like figure out where there are opportunities. And yeah, like you just mentioned, so it's retirement, and then definitely people would people love to have records or memories, right, of their child in soccer or volleyball or whatever it is, right? And so that could be something really easy to do with the plaques. That's why I love those plaques, because it also has like a higher perceived value than a Canva art piece. And on top of it, it's super simple. Like, not everybody wants Canva art with, like, you know what I mean, in their home. Like, it's home decoration, but yet really easy to add to any room. So hence the opportunities.
No, totally. And as you were saying before too, a lot of the research for your designs is coming from these alternate platforms like Facebook, like Amazon, but you are tailoring them for an audience that is specific to Etsy. And I think that's a really important thing to separate here, is that you are not necessarily doing research on Etsy and, trying to, and you're working with these other platforms, getting ideas, but shifting and adjusting them because the Etsy audience is different from those two on average, generally.
And also the platforms are very different, right? So on Etsy, as a seller, you're competing with everybody else for the same keyword and for eyeballs, right? So as a user, I go on Etsy, I do gift for dad, and I'm competing with everybody else. Versus on Facebook, like people on Facebook, they do have this edge where they're not competing necessarily, but you have to capture the attention. You have to stop the feed. And when you have to stop the feed, you kind of need like a stronger, more in your face design, versus on Etsy, that's not necessarily required. You don't need that. So it's just like two different beasts.
Yeah, totally. The scroll stopper versus the actual targeted searching via keyword. Because it's true. People go to Etsy looking for something specific. People go to Facebook to watch really awesome interviews that happen on Friday with Shine On Print on Demand. But then also have scroll stopping ads and such that you need for it. So I appreciate that.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now let's talk about SEO optimization, right? So whether it's tag, description, keyword stuffing, and this can be Etsy, Amazon, Shopify, whichever, right? So the one thing that I say that is super controversial, and it's just like a pet peeve of mine, because a lot of people are not successful on Etsy and they're like, SEO. And I'm like, it's not SEO. Like, I mean, SEO does matter by all means, but it's a cherry on top, right? So a lot of time you need to work on your foundation. You need to work on like actually having a listing people care about. And yeah, you can use and leverage SEO to help you with research. Absolutely. Right. But if you put all your emphasis on SEO and not on the fundamentals, you're going to like be spending time. You're going to be wasting time, to be honest. So first, like make sure that you have that set up. But okay, so if we go to the next slide, there's a tool that I just discovered, and it's called, so I love ChatGPT, we all do, but I think we all struggle with like figuring out prompts and whatnot. And so this tool does it for you. It's absolutely amazing. It's called AIPRM for ChatGPT. It's a Chrome extension, which you then connect back with ChatGPT. And this is free because ChatGPT 4 is not free. So this is completely free. They do have a paid version, but you can do a lot with the free version. And the beauty is that you essentially include a keyword, or you include information about what your product is and whatnot. And so it's going to take your SEO listing and it's going to help you optimize that Etsy listing. And then it's also going to do the same thing with Shopify store. It's going to help you enhance your product description. And by the way, I tell this every time to my coaching students, like even though you guys have a great description, like the Shine On description is a great starting point, you always need to go back and stuff it with specific keyword related back to what you want to sell. So essentially, Like if you, let's say we're doing that retirement gift, right? You would have to have had done your research about other keywords that could generate traffic, whether to your Etsy listing or to your Shopify store. And when you do those research, it's kind of, they're a little different, like you do use different tools to do that research. But then the next step is to make sure that you have stuffed your description with those relevant keywords. Because unfortunately, when you're taking the already established shine on description, like it's not going to help you from an SEO perspective. So that's also very important.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's also just really important for people to understand in general is we will give you absolutely everything we possibly can, but it is up to you to shift and adjust it to make it work for you. Going exactly like the product description that we have, a lot of it is CRO tested, but for Etsy, you're looking for those keywords, those hot keywords to make sure that you're going up in the search. So agree, definitely.
Okay, so if we go to the next slide.
And it's free. That's a free Chrome
Yeah,
extension.
it's free. I mean, fingers crossed. But so essentially the way it works is that different developers have created the prompts and then they upload it to this tool. So some of them are actually paid extension and some aren't. So you have access to the unpaid ones. And so you could see how people are voting as to whether or not they like the prompts. But it makes your life a lot simpler because obviously, even with ChatGPT, you have to go in and you have to take nuggets, right? ChatGPT will become more proficient, but it makes your life so much easier. Somebody like me, who's not like English is not my first language. Like I came to the US when I was 13. So yeah, I'm way more proficient at speaking English, but at the same rate, like it's great to have a tool that just like I have a lot of words that I'll forget out of nowhere. I'm like, how do you say that word in English? So I love having ChatGPT to help me with that. And it can really help you cut your time as far as like creating product description, titles, and whatnot by half because you don't have to come up with it on your own anymore. So that's great.
Yeah, and I mean the translating part too, if you have a phrase that's working and you're interested in marketing to the EU and specific countries or literally anywhere in the world that, is speaking something that's not your language, pop on into ChatGPT and ask them to translate it. And I mean the translations have just gotten so much better and more niche and more conversational. As the ChatGPT grows with its knowledge. So honestly, it's amazing, and that's also a great place for people who, if they are just getting into the sort of AI world and want an idea of what a prompt is, first of all, but second of all, how to actually word it so that it actually works for you. So that is a great tool to have. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then obviously I added kind of what it gave me, right? So Father's Day bracelet gift for new dad, personalized keepsake. And this is like everything, right? So the tags you'd have to double check because sometimes the tags are a little like this is for Etsy. They're a little too generic, but this is like a great way to get started. And so it also gives you, if you have a Shopify store, like the alt tags, the description. So all this is baked after using one of those prompts that are pretty much done for you by using the Chrome extension.
That's
so
awesome.
Then we can go to the next slide.
I just love too how it breaks it down into individual part. It's so smart. It's so smart, you guys. If you're not using this, please just go mess around with it because it'll surprise you. It'll definitely surprise you.
It's amazing. So then let's like going back to SEO AI. So actually go to the next slide. And this is why I like this tool because it's a really powerful tool in helping you, giving you like an SEO score as you write, well, in this case, a blog post, but you also have the ability to write a product description, which the other tool like doesn't really have as much. So, but what you could do, and I've done this in the past, is you could use like the AI RP prompt and then go inside this app and get the score of your product description. right? So you can get really geeky about this like really fast. And again, this is why like even though it's a nice to have, I would say only do this if you already are getting sales on the listing and you want to increase your visibility. Because if you do this to all the listings you upload, you're never going to finish, right? Or if you are on Shopify and you are already getting a few sales through Facebook, like it doesn't hurt you for you to do the extra step of making that product SEO friendly to get more sales. But what I love about it is that you essentially pick like a few, like in this case, I went for gift for first time dad. And I added some of the keywords I wanted to rank for, and this auto generated for me. And all I have to do is kind of like go back, write accordingly, or rewrite it, and then it will give me a score as to what are my chances of ranking. Obviously, this is for Google, right? It doesn't tell me what my chances of ranking are for Etsy. I would love a tool to come up with that. That would be amazing.
So this is this SEO.ai?
Yeah, .ai. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the front end, like this is kind of like the everyday data that you get from any other SEO tool. But what I really like about it, so if you go under project keywords, that like on the, so you can't click on this, but like when you are inside the SEO.ai, you click on project keywords and then you click one of the keywords you're interested in ranking. And then you essentially, it brings you to the next page. You pick a bunch of different keywords. You tell it that you want to create a product description. In this case, it created a blog post, right? But then it kind of like creates all these ideas for you. And again, you still need to edit this, right? Like you can't just copy and paste. You do need editing, but it really helps you with stuffing all these keywords that are needed to help you rank your listing or your product on Google and get more traffic.
That is awesome. And I mean, having a blog that has keywords that is on your website can really, really help give a boost to your organic traffic. Just because you are giving yourself a larger footprint online for your store, but additionally, just having those keywords just kind of bopping around on your website in general can really help with your SEO. And I just love this score thing. I'm with you. I'm like, nerd out. Let's do this. I love numbers. Like that is so cool. I would almost want to try and like compete with myself to be like, what kind of score can I get? Like, can I get higher than 20%? Let's go. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I love that. I love that it does that for you because a lot of time, like you just don't, you don't know. And you're right. Like the blogging is a really other like big opportunity. I mean, I know there is e-commerce experts out there. That's all they do. They help stores create blog section for these Shopify store in order to generate way more traffic. There's like a supplement store that I used to follow because they were really good about that. They had like a very thorough blog. And obviously at the end of the article, it's almost like they were doing their own affiliate marketing. Like it would just like link back to their products. And I think for print on demand, we tend to forget the possibilities, when it comes to SEO.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true because you're thinking about you're not holding any inventory, right? So it's not like you're looking at that stuff all the time. You have to think a little bit more creatively about it. So I love that. That's a great tip. And yeah, I might just tool around on there for a little bit later today just to see. That is so neat.
Okay, so then, let's talk about like SEO rules and we can go over these like pretty quickly. But obviously the first one is like keyword research, right? Understanding what keywords are popular, but you also need to have, reasonable search volume. I would say anything above, like I personally like anything above 1,000 as far as like search volume, right? And obviously the sweet spot is always going to be high search volume and low competition. However, like it's not always like completely ideal, simply because a lot of time when people simply only go after low competition keywords, like they kind of get themselves out of opportunities. So I mean, my secret recipe is to like blend things together. So you kind of like find find ways to outrank. But overall, like when you're starting out, like definitely high search volume and lower competition or medium competition. And as you get more advanced, then you can go after high competition keywords. Next.
I like the blending. That's smart.
Yeah. And then you need to optimize your title, description. So headers, that's more for when you have a Shopify store, but like also your URL and product description. So, and that's kind of what I want to bring up. So on Etsy, when you are creating a title, we actually have very lengthy titles, right? Where it's like bracelets, gift for dad, Father's Day gift, dad birthday, like we stuff it with as many keywords as possible because it does help with ranking. But when you are doing a Shopify store, when you have too many words on your title, it actually doesn't help you from an SEO ranking perspective. So you actually have to be a little bit more strategic when you do titles for a Shopify store and make sure that they're more succinct. Obviously, like gift for dad is not going to rank, right? But you might have other keywords that rank. So SEO for Shopify is a little harder, but like just keep that into consideration. You need to have shorter URLs. And then obviously you need to have good product description with as many keyword stuff as possible. And then headers is essentially like making sure that within your, because the way Google crawls is that it will always look at headers and then titles and descriptions first to kind of figure out what your content is about. But with Etsy, the beauty of it, and that's why I love Etsy, it's so beginner friendly. You don't have to worry about any of that because Etsy does that for you.
That's awesome. I know that there's a bit of a discussion for Etsy titles as to whether or not the comma or the
It doesn't matter.
Works best. Does it matter or does it not? Doesn't matter. Okay.
It doesn't even matter. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter at all.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Okay. And then next one. Yeah. So make sure that your product description are descriptive. And so that's more for Shopify, right? It does help to have within your product description like an FAQ. Obviously, like it's more work, and don't do this unless it's a product that is already proven, right? But being as descriptive as possible, having an FAQ within that product page, making sure that you have it optimized for all the relevant keywords, adding tags as well in Shopify, because you can add tags on Shopify, by the way. You have it in your, I think it's your right-hand side column. So you could do that. A lot of times, like I have my VAs do that. Like I'll have them do the tags like on Shopify directly, and then we upload it to Etsy. But yeah, so make sure you do that. Then next one is, yeah, mobile optimized. So that's another reason why I love Shine On, because like Shine On has like such an amazing landing page builder that all the work is already done for you when it comes to like the page being mobile optimized. And Etsy's the same thing. You don't have to worry about any of that. But back in the day, when I used to have my own print on demand store, and I think I was using Printful at the time, like I had to spend the extra money and having a theme to make sure that it was like mobile optimized and it had all the features. Yeah. And with Shine On, like a lot of those headaches, like you don't need to have because they've done the work for you. So that's awesome too.
Thanks. Yeah, it is really important, that the people, in general, the majority of us, you can just walk outside your home and you see 9 out of 10 people are holding their phones and they're looking at it. That's where people are. They're not, we're not back in the day with like big desktop computers anymore.
Well, e-commerce purchased, I think, if increased, where it's like 80% of them happen on your mobile phone. Exactly. It's something insane. Like most people actually shop directly from mobile.
Yeah.
Versus shopping from desktop. And that's why I think Google made that switch. I think it was like 2-3 years ago, because before it didn't really matter as much. And then they made it a priority because of that.
Yeah. And I mean, and Etsy makes it so easy too for any of your customers who are on there. There's the buy it now. There's, there's just, they make it so simple. And yeah, mobile optimized for sure. And that is a great tip, especially for people who are doing Shopify stores, to just make sure to always check what it looks like on mobile, because if your formatting is a little funky, you might be losing people. So definitely something to check out.
Yeah, loading speed actually matters when you have a Shopify store. But again, Shinon does a great job of making sure your landing page is not too heavy. So same. Etsy, we don't have that problem. See, this is why I love Etsy. I'm
Great.
like, I don't have to deal with that.
It just does it for you. No, I love
I
that.
know. I mean, and it's also why like sometimes it's a little harder for people, to crack Etsy. But okay, so next one, URL structure, right? So I talked about that, making sure that it's not too long of a URL and you have like all the relevant keywords within it. We can go to the next one. Yeah, so that's actually an interesting. So backlink building. So there's a couple of ways you can go about it. So when it comes to Etsy, I would say that obviously like you want to make sure that you have sales. I can't repeat that enough because I see people thinking the issue is traffic. They're like, oh, well, nobody's viewing my listing. I have to find ways for them to see my listing. Etsy's a very smart algorithm. They want you to get sales. And if your listing is good, you will get sales. If your listing is not good, you won't get any views and you will continue getting deranked. So once you already have traction, then you can go and put in the extra work into bringing traffic by doing like Pinterest. And with Pinterest, like it's all about consistency, right? And having the right keywords and also making sure that I would say like idea pins tend to outperform when it comes to impressions, like regular pins. So you can do that extra work of pinning your content. And also, if you have a Shopify store, the same applies. Like a lot of time people kind of dismiss Pinterest. And obviously, don't just post once and expect more traffic. You do need to post pretty consistently, and it could be the exact same product. You just have to change a few things, right? Like how it's positioned or whatever. And that goes for Shopify and Etsy. And then also backlink building could be having blog posts talk about you, referring back to you. It's just a lot of different things, right? But like in proper SEO, sites that are trying to be first on the page, like Google's going to look at your authority. And your authority is decided by how many websites are linking back to you. And it's not completely relevant. Like it's not completely relevant as a print on demand, right? But when you are scaling and you're trying to get additional sales, it could be a good way to kind of have even more humph, like more power, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. So by backlinks, you're essentially meaning like the places outside of Etsy where your listing is mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just explaining it to anybody who didn't
Yeah.
understand. But yes, it's redirecting back to your product. And you're right. I mean, Pinterest is one of those, it's a lot of it's everyone who's on there. You have to understand your Pinterest avatar too, right? They are very visual. They're looking for pretty things. And they're not too far off from the Etsy audience who also
They're not.
responds to nice looking things, right? It's not entire. You can't just sort of take a random image that doesn't.
But there's a con with being on Pinterest. Like, so there's pros and cons. The cons is you're easier to find.
For copycats.
So the con is like people, like it's easier for people to rip you. Like, so that's the con, right? But the pro is that you are bringing in more traffic. And you're right. Like, and also like I've done Pinterest ads in the past. And so Pinterest is very different when I was like driving more traffic to my Shopify. And the thing with Pinterest is like, it's more people pinning for later. So that's why you're not going to see the traffic right away. It might take sometimes a few months, but yeah, it's not going to happen right away because it's people pinning for later. And, but it does help as far as like generating more sales in the future. But I would say when you're starting out and you don't really have a business account, by the way, make sure it's a business Pinterest account. You have to upload consistently. So I would say 5 times a week when starting out. There are a lot of tools out there that help you post. Like I think Minta is one of them. To be honest, like their content, like the content is not great. Like they essentially take your content and they create these like little videos for you. I've never been super impressed by it, but it's something that can help you as far as like generating a lot of like ideas fast,
Yeah.
especially when starting out.
There's also there are some cheaper programs too, like Later is one. It's like
Oh
I think
yeah,
it's like $40 a month, and it connects all of your socials, and you can do multiple sets if you have multiple stores.
yeah.
And I think, yeah, and they also offer like free link in bio and stuff like that. So
And you
uh,
can do it on Canva too. Like, I mean, so Canva enables you to create a lot of like Pinterest posts as well.
yeah,
But I don't think it actually, at one point I think they were trying to do a scheduler, and I don't know if they have that option now. But
I
worth looking into.
think they did, because
Yeah, I feel
that
like
was
they
part of
had.
their thing, is like Canva's latest updates for this year. There's like video background remover. There's
Oh yeah,
like
you can schedule it. It's you have to be in the pro, but yeah, you can schedule it.
you can schedule. Yeah, it's. I mean, Canva's new
Canva,
updates this
yeah,
year have
it's
been.
kicking it out of the park. It's trying to put everybody out of business.
Love it. Love it. And yeah, I mean, honestly, for I think one of the biggest groups that's on Pinterest too are brides, right? So, and like
Yes, for
people
the wedding season.
collecting images from all over, inspiration images for their weddings and stuff. So if you are in a wedding niche and you are selling on Etsy, or honestly anywhere, but you are trying to, and you have your Pinterest, you really should be focusing on pushing out some of those wedding designs, because that is brides creating those boards for their weddings. That is like
A thing.
I see it all the time. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and then social media integration, but that only really applies to Shopify. So yeah, with Etsy, um, yeah, I mean, social media. So being active on Pinterest, only if you have a bestseller absolutely makes sense. And I have seen people, because I'm really active on TikTok, who promote their Etsy store on TikTok. And it does help with generating some revenue. However, the problem that we have as Shine On sellers is that we don't necessarily have the product on hand a lot of times, right? And so we're kind of like limited with what we can do. And yeah, you can like actually have the product and whatnot. But personally, I think it's kind of like a slippery slope, right? Like, I don't want to tell you, like, no, don't do it. Like, don't spend your extra time doing it, because it can bring additional traffic, but you can also be wasting a lot of time and not necessarily get the results you want. So I think it's just like understanding like what your goals are. And so that's why it's important to be super strategic. Depending on where you are in your journey, if you're just starting out and if you're only getting like a few sales a week, or if you're not getting any sales a week, if you're not getting any sales a week, focus first on getting those sales. Like focus on uploading, right? Some people, it happens for them rather quickly and others not, for whatever reasons, right? But then once you do have consistent sales and you're like at the, I don't know, 50 to 60 sales a week, whether it's Etsy or whatever that is, like then you can like spend more time to scale. So just be strategic would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great point too, is if you aren't getting traffic to your listing, don't throw money at it
Oh
to
yeah.
make it better, because that is not going to work and you are going to just get frustrated.
Oh, so
So,
that's another thing and pet peeve of mine, because a lot of people will be like, oh, just spend money on Etsy ads. And unfortunately, that's not the answer. Because like you said, spending, like adding money to your Etsy ad is only going to waste you money, because you're not going to get real data. You have to stop thinking that, oh, the issue's the traffic. The issue's not the traffic. The
yeah.
issue's your listing. So, or whatever it is inside your listing, it's not working, right? So first find that winner organically. And once you do, you can like throw in ads and whatnot, but don't do that until you get that sale. With Facebook ads, it's a little different, right? Or TikTok ads, obviously you have to test, but even in that testing phase, you're putting very little budget. And I mean, even
Exactly.
that's happened to me, like when I was doing Facebook ads, I was like, oh my God, it has so much potential. But I was in the red, but I was like, I know it has potential. And I would like leave that ad turned on for too long. even though I was in the red, and even
That happened to
even
me
though I had the
too.
data, and you have to learn to like shut it down real fast.
Yeah, I liked a product a little too much, and I was like,
Yeah, it
I
happens to all of
swear,
us,
if I just
right?
throw a couple
I think
more
it's because
bucks
we
at
get
this.
excited that we get that sell, and we're like, yes. But if it's not in the if it's not in the green, it's not in the green. Let it go.
Yep, exactly, exactly. Okay, last but not
Yeah,
least.
and then like I mean, this again is more for Shopify, but like Google Analytics, and then Google the Search Console, which is essentially like Google AdWords, can give you a lot of data as well. I mean, Google AdWords, like when you're a beginner, it's a little overwhelming, which is why like I recommend those other tools, but just like nice to have, and make sure that you have Google Analytics set up. But Etsy does a lot of that for you, like you have the data as far as like how many views you're getting, how many favorites.
Yeah.
You also can see the keywords that are driving traffic for you, like under all the stats are there for you. So that could give you some insights as like, okay, if I'm bringing a lot of traffic for daughter gift, like then can I find ways to create more listings like that, etc.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Q&A.
now we're at the, one of the best parts of this stream. I know that a lot of you who have been out there watching, you've been itching to ask Luna your questions. We went over a lot of stuff today, so totally understand if you've got some questions about what we've talked about. If you have questions about Etsy in general, throw them in the chat. We're here. Luna's ready for you. Looking great in that picture, too.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. And that's so helpful too. Like you're just looking at that list of SEO help. It's like there are things that people think they know, but as you were saying earlier, you want to approach almost everything like you know nothing.
Yeah.
Because then you learn the most.
Yeah.
And I just think that is huge. So let's see. What do we have anyone in here? Let's see. Oh, we've got a very sweet. Hey, Luna, thank you for sharing your experiences across all your channels and here on Shine On. You are a mentor for us. You inspire us, and we are grateful for you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
It's
happy to be here and help everybody.
We are definitely grateful. Let's see. Is it really possible to bring organic traffic to a Shine On store through SEO?
Absolutely. I've done it. And I've actually done it out of surprise. I was like, what?
Yeah. I can't believe that worked.
I was like, really? That came from Google? So yeah, you absolutely can. Just focus on listings that are doing well.
Let's see. Facebook user says, I've used eRank to get A ratings on all my listings, but I'm still getting nowhere. With Etsy, do I need to reduce fees? No, so that's another thing people do a lot. They think the issue is the price. And so they'll make their pricing really low, thinking that people will purchase. But actually, you're doing yourself a disservice because then you're going to be running in red and not making as much profit. It's never pricing. The issue is always your listing. So even if that's exactly what I was talking about and illustrating. You can have the perfect SEO, but if your listing doesn't resonate and doesn't differentiate itself, you're not going to get sales. So it's not like like a lot of Etsy coach out there are like, oh, SEO, and they just like ham on that SEO hammer. You can have perfect SEO and no sales because at the end of the day, the foundation is your listing. Exactly. And I mean, I think that's the thing too, is that if you reduce the cost of things, you are also cheapening the value of your store in its entirety, right? So you are saying that you and your products are worth less. And yes. The whole thing of like, oh, a good marketer can sell you your foot, right? And it's like, that's exactly it, is that you can use the tools available for you to get those sales. You don't need to throw a ton of money at them, and you do not need to drop your costs. at all. I mean, my favorite story is Kirsta with, our coach Kirsta, who he sells the little engraved cross. When I first started working here, he was selling that little engraved cross, which is like, I mean, I think it's base cost of like not even $10, right? Nothing. And he was selling that for $90 plus to people, a stainless steel engraved cross, because it is the words, it is the sentiment, it is the language you are using, it is the keywords you are using. That is what will get those products in front of people. And he didn't drop his price in order to get those people. He was cranking that little tiny cross at $90. Like, boy, get it. That is just amazing.
Exactly. It's all about positioning and understanding your consumer. It's all about the consumer avatar. It's all about getting into the reptilian brain of your consumer, understanding what's going to be like, oh, wow, I need this. What's going to make them cry? What's going to get an emotion out of them?
I love that. Their reptilian brain. Oh,
she got a touching. Who's talking. I love it. So Deborah's in my coaching, and I'm so happy to hear like how amazing she's been doing. She's been applying everything that
unbelievable.
I teach, so
Deborah,
awesome.
I gotta say, so Deborah is a mom from New York, and the first time,
New York.
Yeah, she's a New Yorker. The first time that I started working with Deborah was one of our challenges, was like the 100X challenge or the Valentine's Day challenge, one of those little sort of 2 weeks to a month long challenges that we've done. And she was just getting started and, was insatiable for the education around it. And honestly, that's what changed everything, because I mean, we saw her at the mastermind. She's with Reggie's course. She's with you. Like, Deborah is she's all in, and she's getting Etsy cha-chings while we're talking. So Deborah, we love you.
We love you.
We're like, you're exactly the type of person that we love to see. Somebody who is driven and who also understands that this is not like a crock pot model. This is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. You always want to be learning. You always want to be getting more information. I just love it. Let's see. Is there an average time period for an Etsy store to start bringing in traffic organically?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's an average per se, because it really does just depend on the amount of work that you are putting in yourself.
You could have one listing and drive traffic.
Yeah, I've actually purchased from an Etsy store that had like 6 listings.
Yeah,
because they did something really cool and really niche, and I wanted it. So
exactly. It's all about understanding demand. So it's not, you could literally open an Etsy store and get a sell within half an hour.
Yeah.
But the problem is like, again, like, you need to understand what are people into, where there's demand, understand the Etsy customer. And most people, they go at it, I mean, I hate to say this, but with like a greedy mindset. You have to think, we're all guilty of this. I'm just as guilty, right? We all have to think that behind the screen, there's actual people buying this.
Right.
Like, and I have a listing, like, I have people like telling me like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I have this item, or to give or whatever. And like, it makes a huge difference to understand that at the end of the day, you are serving people. And so when you go in with that approach as well, like, that's also going to help you upload stronger listings.
Yeah, for sure. And if you, are struggling with anything where you need any instructions or anything like that, obviously we have tons of education available. Luna has great education available. So, there is no average time, but you can build your traffic. You just need to get going, start doing it, start doing things.
Do it.
Yeah, do it. Stop putzing around and just do it.
Yeah, and be easy on yourself too, because like for some people it just takes more time, and it's totally fine. I mean, I'm not an overnight success, let me tell you. I mean, like, Etsy worked out for me, but I had years of e-commerce experience.
Exactly.
Like, I've been doing this for a while. So yeah, like some people, for whatever reason, they figure it out faster. And also like it's dedication. Like the more dedicated you are, it's like having a six pack, right? If I don't try to eat clean and do this and do that, like how am I expecting to have a six pack?
That's exactly it. Like you do, you take a look, like what is the end goal that you are trying to achieve? And if it seems like an aspirational goal, okay, what are the steps that you need to take in order to get to that point, right? It's not a straight shot. And I think people always forget that. But I also agree with you about it's okay if it takes you a little bit longer than you initially thought, because
Well, first off, it
life.
always takes longer than what we think.
Right.
Anything in life. I mean, I've been on this planet for a little hot minute, and I can tell you, every time I'm like, oh yeah, and it always takes double the time, whatever it is. So you have to remember that.
Yeah, and I mean, life happens. Life gets in the way. Always. I mean, you just never know what's coming around, so you just try to do the best that you possibly can. And we are here to support you. And I think, it's important to remember that even if you are currently going through something hard, you have a lot of support behind you to build this and to be successful. And we're here for you. So looks like we have one more question. Oh, looks like it's the same person asking another question, because I said, sorry, gleaning as much as they can. So,
oh, it's okay.
Last question to clarify, you don't recommend social media until getting organic sales?
Well, I guess for Etsy or for Shopify. So for Etsy, no. I don't recommend you do social media until you get organic sales, because you want to make sure that you have good listings. And you need to focus your time in having good, powerful listings until you start adding social, right, to the mix.
Yeah.
And I would say that also applies for Shopify, right? Like you need to make sure you have a proven concept that is getting you sales versus like before you like add the time into social media.
Yeah. Because it can be a real time suck, especially like making TikToks. They can be for sure. For sure. All right. If you would like some more tips, e-commerce and print-on-demand tips from the wonderful Miss Luna Vega, you can head to search for @Miss Luna Vega. She also has an awesome Facebook group that you can join, the e-commerce Boss Insider with Luna Vega. She is on absolutely all sorts of social media. Now that you have been here, you're going to see her all over the place, and you're going to want to learn. You're going to be insatiable for Luna knowledge. So just so you know, this is your best way to find out more from Luna. Luna, I got to tell you, I learn so much from you all the time. I know that our group just absolutely adores you, and I am like so thankful that you came on today.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I always love to come and say hi and share my knowledge with everyone. It's fun.
We just love it. Luna is the queen of Etsy. If you did not pay attention today, that's your fault. Because she dropped all of the knowledge bombs today. All right, guys. Until next time, if you are on YouTube, please make sure that you join our Facebook group here. It is bit.ly go Shine On for the Facebook group. You want to start selling on Shine On, because if you are not, what are you doing? You need to do this. Get on there. Go to shineon.com. You can sign up there. We integrate with a bunch of different things, so you got to check it out. You can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com, ShineOnPod. You can find us on Instagram at @ShineOn, and we have another Facebook page here, ShineOnHQ. You guys, happy selling. Thank you, Luna, and have an amazing weekend.
Bye, guys.